nights grow cold. For love to last, it takes heart and soul. Now trouble with emotions, knowing what to say. Seconds turn to hours turn to days. Tears upon the pillow, from the heart that's filled with pain. But love is starting over, will never be the same. Now I'm all alone with a broken heart. Give you everything right from the start. Heart and soul. Girl, you need to know how you tore my world apart. Didn't give enough. Heart and soul. Staring out the window as the rain turns to snow, like a rose filled with water. Has it left grow? Seasons always changing, you couldn't stand the test of time. Like a rhyme without a reason, it made you change your mind. Now I'm all alone with a broken heart. Give you everything right from the start. Heart and soul. Girl, you need to know how you tore my world apart. Didn't give enough. Heart and Now I'm all alone with a broken heart. Give you everything right from the start. Heart and soul. Girl, you need to know it's how you tore my world apart.
Oh, okay, we're here. All right, welcome to Thursdays with Victor and myself. We hope you enjoy it, the conversation, the videos, and the discussion. Of course, we will be watching the chat so that we can either answer questions or comment on your comments. How about that? Don't forget about 500 to D Live. We've got 23 to go to give away these lovely t-shirts. At least the lovely JJ Stoner Midget Wednesday t-shirt, child size. And we're going to throw in a shirt from the Winning TV store on Teespring, a Speakeasy shirt, a Winning TV shirt, or a Promises Kept shirt. Doc on one breast, myself on the other. So share out. Let's get to 23 and get that Wheel of Death going. All right, Victor, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Luckily, over here in the Netherlands, we've had several successes in stopping the whole vaccination thing. Specifically, on 25th of November, we got it ratified, where we have choice in the whole vaccination thing. But then you have the setback where the Dutch KLM, the Dutch-French KLM Airplane Association pretty much went with the whole globalist agenda of we need to have a vaccination passport. So there's that.
Unbelievable. And in case I know some people in the audience probably watch the same shows we watch, so that everybody's heard that on the Daily Boogie, and of course that is coming. I think it's going to happen here for sure. The way these politicians are acting. What do you say, Victor?
Well, that's the entire problem. That globalist agenda of you need an international passport, it's easily done, but it's hard to justify, which is going to be a problem, especially in local politics. That's how I look at it.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for the follow. Susie BR50, thank you. That takes us to 22. So I can give away these damn t-shirts. All right. I'm sure most people, and I know Boogie Mupper likes to make fun of me because I'm in New York, and I don't blame him, but we've got a video from New York State here. The governor himself, Andrew Cuomo, Don Cuomo. Let's see what he's got to say. And then we've got some video of what's actually going on in New York, and it's going along. Yes. Well, the title of the show is "It's Going to Get Ugly," and I think it's going to, and it's starting to. You're starting to see the results of governors just doing whatever they want now to people closing down their businesses, keeping their kids out of school. I mean, think about this. If they don't close down your business and you're a small business owner, but they keep your kids out of school, you're equally as screwed, right? Especially if you have young ones. So here is Andrew Cuomo. So we'll take a listen to this, and we'll talk about this.
We have a public safety crisis on top of the COVID crisis, on top of the housing crisis, on top of the employment crisis. And am I shocked that crime went up when unemployment went up and desperation went up? And it's harder to find a job and people aren't getting any income? No.
My only comment is all of these things were caused by their COVID lockdown for the entire summer.
Well, yeah, but the main thing is Cuomo keeps talking about there needs to be a federal bailout. New York has needed a federal bailout since New York existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the sad thing about the whole thing. He's going to try to pretty much all the years he ruined New York, he's going to push that all the way on. This is because of COVID.
Exactly. Well, we were, speaking of, we were in trouble before COVID. New York State was $6 billion in debt before the lockdowns. A state can't be $6 billion in debt when the population decreases by 50,000 residents on average every year. How can it continue to exist? I mean, you're racking up more debt and you're losing more taxpayers. It's not rocket science, right?
That's the beauty of the whole thing. Yeah, there we go. That's the whole beauty of these democratic states and hotspots. They're now currently throwing all their blame on the COVID problem and continue on pushing the whole agenda of you can't operate and COVID is to blame.
Exactly. Excuse me. And what their real end game is, they're looking for a bailout, and they're trying to make it as bad as they possibly can. Unfortunately, the people that are being affected are the regular everyday citizens, and not Cuomo nor his friends, as we'll see further into the show. Let's see what else he's got to say.
There
here.
was Andrew Cuomo earlier today talking about the skyrocketing crime rates in New York, China virus cases once again spiraling out of control, and growing housing and unemployment crises in that state. It's clear that it is time for new leadership in the Empire State, and my next guest believes he's the right man for the job. Derek Gibson, Republican gubernatorial candidate for governor of the great state of New York, and he joins us now from Georgia, where, as I understand it, you're stumping for Kelly Loeffler. Welcome, sir.
Hi, glad to be here, Chris.
Ooh, that audio is terrible.
Audio is
Gibson,
terrible, but the skin color is perfect.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, they can touch him now.
What's interesting about Cuomo crying about the crime rate is, if you had watched the show a few months ago, we were going through the issues of the new bail reform legislation that they passed in the middle of the night without any consultation from sheriff's departments across the state, and against the wishes, in fact, of most sheriff's departments and police departments. Well, they passed it in the middle of the night. The no bail, or I don't know what they call it, bail reform or whatever. 243 crimes were taking off, requiring bail. So, if you were a felony drug dealer, you were let go. Regardless of whether they found guns or whatever, you didn't have to post bail. So what was happening in my county, if you watched the show a few months ago, I talked about this. The sheriff's department ran some investigations, caught a big drug dealer, meth dealer. Guy had weapons and everything. They let him go because under the new Bail Reform Act, they couldn't hold him. So they let him go. And guess what? He's gone. Right? So all that money, they have no clue where he went. And who's going to spend the money to go track this guy down? Same thing with an arsonist. They arrested an arsonist, had to let them go because of the no bail reform, and the arsonist is gone. So it's a frustrating situation for the sheriff's department and police departments.
Yeah, frustrating as it is, they could have called Cuomo out on the bullshit the minute they passed that, though.
Oh, they did.
And they could.
But
yeah, but they didn't push it.
The problem here in New York is New York's Assembly and Senate are completely Democrat controlled. So even if they went down, and they did, they went down to Albany, said this is insane, we are letting criminals out. They're turning around, like, for instance, if somebody committed domestic violence, they're arresting them, letting them go, and they're going right back and doing it again. So they went down to Albany, but Albany's not going to do anything because it's completely Democrat controlled. So they just said, we don't want to hear it.
Well, yeah, but they could basically have stated, we're not going to enforce any of the COVID rules until this is reversed.
Oh.
And that would have killed Cuomo's entire agenda. And that's something they didn't push.
Unfortunately, COVID came after the bail reform, much later after the bail reform. But we're going to touch on that shortly here. So this Mr. Gibson is running for governor in New York. So this should be interesting. How can New Yorkers attack a black gentleman? This should be interesting. Is he a Nazi? We'll soon find out.
Governor Cuomo tweeted this out over the weekend. Says, happy hashtag small business Saturday. Small business drives New York's economy and makes our communities and neighbor unique. Support your locally owned small businesses. You know, Mr. Gibson, those words mean so much from a guy who shut down New York's businesses and then turned a blind eye as his cronies in BLM and Antifa torched and looted those businesses. What do you say?
Right, and how can you support the small business when they are closed, when the lockdown orders are mandatory in different areas of the city? So you can't support the small business. You can't have it both ways. If we open our economy up, then we can support our small business. This governor is playing games with politics, and we have got to move forward from the opening economy back up and keep it going. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, Antifa was destroying this city. And
if you're watching these shots of New York, I'm getting a lot of these shots, and not just on one block or one area of New York City. It's everywhere, where stores are completely gone, shuttered up. Everything's just gone. I mean, there's very little, if anything, left.
Yeah, and those images should give you shivers around your spine, considering how much of an anthill New York City is.
What's funny is I see people, blue checks from New York City on Twitter stating that that's not real, that's not what's happening, it's still vibrant, and all this garbage. I mean, why lie to people? Because I'm getting direct videos and pictures sent to me from friends in New York City going, this is becoming really bad. And on top of that, the latest data shows that 1/3 of New York State's businesses are gone forever.
Yeah, but disinformation agendas have always been happening during these times, and that's the whole scary thing about it. The big tech companies are in bed with these blue states, and that's the scary bit. They're supporting their blue states hard. I mean, we've seen it with the Trump campaign, but with the whole COVID thing, they've have been pushing it hard to close down everything, questioning anyone who tried to stay open. It's absurd.
Absolutely. It's gotten way out of control. And I see people say, well, when are people going to stand up? And we'll get into that later. It is starting to happen. And I'm starting to hear people, especially in small businesses in my area. Now, I'm far removed from New York City. I'm a good 4.5 hours away. We are hearing people rumble out here. I can't imagine what it's like in New York City, because people are getting ticked off here that everything is still getting locked down, especially the bars and small business owners in my area, which there are not that many bars to begin with.
Yeah, but we've been seeing it over here as well. Stores end up closing because no one is showing up. And with December 1st, we had our global mask mandates, which is basically if we come there without a mask, they get mandatory closed for 2 weeks. No questions, nothing asked. You're just closed for 2 weeks. So say goodbye to your business within a few months.
Exactly. Plus the fines. I mean, in New York, they are fining businesses into oblivion. Number one, they're barely making a living now. But when they do open, the health department shows up and hands them a bunch of citations.
Well, it's citation on citation on citation, and I don't know if you've seen Archie this evening, but they had an awesome one about it. Let's see where I have it, because there was a New York State Island business bar owner who closed down, and they basically arrested him for trespassing in his own place.
Yep, I've got
just like
those.
they did in Canada.
I've got those videos for us, Victor. I got those lined up. It's just getting out of control. But you're starting to see a lot of, because if the government pushes you and pushes you and pushes you, at some point something's got to give. Am I not right? I mean,
Well, the resentment is building and building, but it's already way too late. Because let's be honest, the minute Biden gets into office, you lost any ground of protesting. Because Biden is going to roll in the military, and you're done.
yes, I 100% agree. If Biden is the president, he will have not even a second thought of either. I don't know if he could declare martial law. I don't think he can without Congress, but without a second thought of saying Insurrection Act, which he can do on his own.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole thing. The Patriot Act, everything already is aligned for that, these kind of things. So he doesn't even need Congress or the House to even pull that off. And all the thing Congress and the House can do is we protest this mandate, but it's still going to roll out. Thankfully, over here in the Netherlands, we don't have that issue, as we don't have enough police, we don't have enough military, as the government has been budgeted. Basically butchering every budget they could find for the past 2 decades. So, but America, sadly, you got more police and more military than you actually need for your own country.
I've had this discussion before with on the other show on Saturday night that we do, the Speakeasy, about executive orders, and I said, I've always been against this executive orders. I can't stand it when somebody says, well, he had to do it, right? And because it's my guy, it's okay. I said, someday you're going to rue the day that you said it's okay he did all these executive orders because it was the right thing to do, because the shoe is going to be on the other foot. And if, sure as hell, if Biden is in that White House, he will be using executive orders daily. Guaranteed. He doesn't need Congress, because who's going to stop him, right?
Well, before the 90s, executive orders were perfectly fine, but after Bill Clinton and Bush, executive orders got way too much power.
Yep.
Because, let's be honest, the president currently has basically both the military, the judicial branch, and the commercial branch at his fingertips now. And that's thanks to Bill Clinton and George W. Bush.
And I know most people didn't like it when I said it, but I was against Trump using all these executive orders, because you got to be consistent. You can't say I don't like them and then turn around and say, well, my guy's doing it, so it's okay. Oh, that drives me bananas.
But it's not like his executive orders were good for the American people.
Yeah. It was a lot of it helped fodder a lot of theories, if you will, which so far a lot of them have not come to pass. But I guess you got a week left, right?
Yeah, and after that week, I'm gonna basically we're gonna have to hang the flag half post,
half-mast, yeah. Because I said this on Tuesday, and you were probably listening. We've got until December 8th, I think, is when the electors are selected. They vote on the 14th.
And the final decision is at December 15th, right?
I think it's the 14th, but it could be the 15th. But once the electors are selected, it's pretty much over.
Well, the scariest thing I see with when the selectors are selected is the rise of Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Because they're going to rise up suddenly out of the blue in those regions where it's going to matter.
Mm-hmm. You mean in red states?
Deciding electorates. The deciding electorate, they're always hardliners and on both sides, but the moderates, that's where the Black Lives Matter and Antifa will be, on the soft Democrats and on the soft Republican side.
That's a
and
great
they're going to
point.
push hard.
Yes, they're going to want on the left, or at least Democrats are going to want. They're going to push for progressive, the most progressive people you can get, because now even Barack Obama's saying get AOC into the cabinet for Biden.
Yeah, but they already hate Barack Obama, so there's that.
Well,
One
he's-
cares about the. It's basically it's the amazing thing. Barack Obama was the most known president and the most forgotten president at the same time.
Well, he thinks he's still extremely relevant. You know, he's got a third book out about himself, so you know. Oh, all right. Here is some of that video that you were speaking of earlier. Eyewitness News. A huge group of people gathered outside the Staten Island bar in the middle of a COVID. Listen to how they, in the middle of a COVID hot zone. That was shut.
They went with the whole Command and Conquer thing: red zones, yellow zones, blue zones.
Yeah. Oh, just like after 9/11. Remember, we had the red alert, orange alert, yellow alert. You know.
Yeah, anyone who's played computer games and has seen any sci-fi movie from the 70s to until 2000s knows exactly what's going on. But sadly, not many have seen those movies.
So, in the middle of a COVID hot zone that was shut down last night by police for violating pandemic safety rules. Many, oh cow, this is crazy. Many could be seen carrying the American flag. Like, that's supposed to equate to what? You know?
Thank you for keeping me safe.
Well, the biggest irony is when they came up with the Trump flags, because that's immediately a dismissal for anyone who's on the Democratic side.
Mhm.
You know, they're like, oh, they're just stupid Trump supporters. Who cares?
And looking at the still shot of this video, I've got it up on the screen now. I don't see any Trump flags. I see.
When you zoom in, they're draped over one of the hood of the cars.
Okay.
Trump 2020, and it's kind of sad because that's kind of ruins any chance of getting any discourse about the COVID issue, because it's hitting both sides.
And I know someone's brought this up before. Don't bring outlandish things to your protest. For instance, if you're going to protest COVID, don't talk about 5G or hold the sign up that says 5G causes cancer. Stick to the basics at your protest, right? Hey, Christy.
And yeah, that's the entire problem. Everyone is like, I'm on this side, so I'm gonna prop this up because the media is gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the main problem in American with. We can blame Obama for the whole bipartisan issue that's been developing and festering fast.
It semi started under Bush, his last couple of years in office, because remember the media had the body count in Iraq and Afghanistan every night. That disappeared after he lost. After Obama won, that disappeared when McCain lost. But they had the body count, and remember Bush's Hitler. That all kind of started, but it really escalated under Obama.
Well, yeah, but that's because he pushed it hard, especially Michael Obama. So.
Here's some of that video from Staten Island. Let's see if they zoom in. I don't hear any sound. Oh, there is no sound. So there's quite a few people at this protest. I don't know. I'd probably say it close to 1,000. Close to 1,000. I'm drinking a huge Mai Tai.
Yeah,
now.
I'm just looking for the video where you can see it closer up, because
I've got another one here. Let's see what the other one looks like. Here, well, this is a ground shot, so I don't know if this is what you're looking for. Let's take a Now, this gentleman was arrested for trespassing. Am I right?
well, that's the entire thing. Even the senator, a local senator, came down and he was like, "What's he arrested for? Because you guys gave me this pamphlet. He gets fined, but why did you get?" And they're like, "We didn't arrest him. They took him away in cuffs in a police van. That's an arrest."
Yes.
And they were like, "No, we didn't arrest him." Well, you took him away in handcuffs. But sadly, there were way too many, especially a specific Staten Islander who couldn't shut the fuck up. So the senator really didn't get a chance to say anything about it.
But
even the lawyer wasn't allowed. Even the lawyer got fined for being on the premise. His lawyer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there goes your legal representation, because you're currently also indicted.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know exactly what laws. And Christy, this is from last night. That protest, number one, these protests need to be everywhere, and they need to be much larger if you want to get something done. 1,000 people showing up for this guy for one night, it's not cutting it, because they don't care.
No.
They honestly don't care.
Well, but that's the thing. Over here in the Netherlands, we're doing on the 17th of December and the 17th of January. Well, the 17th of December will be a protest where all the pubs will be open, even after the curfew we already have. But the 17th of January, we're just going to stay open. And the government is already trying to figure out how to mitigate that.
See, that's
going to
what
be a national protest. And
that's what we need. We need all of New York, California, or whatever state you're in. All of you need to be out there in mass numbers and just keep doing it until they cave, because eventually they can't arrest everybody, right? I mean, they couldn't stop looters in New York City or Rochester or Syracuse. Do you think they're going to stop a few million people every night out at the bars and restaurants? They can't arrest everybody, right?
well, that's the thing. Over here in the Netherlands, we still have the whole camaraderie and solidarity when it comes to these things. And certainly in America, the divide has been so big. You don't have. It's not just racial. You have religious. You have political. All these divided camps means you're no longer able to unify against such a national problem. That's kind of the tragedy with America.
Yes. Yes, because they've got us so divided now that even reasonable people are afraid to say, "Hey, I'm going to join those other people over there," because I don't agree with these lockdowns and putting people out of business. But if they find out who you are, I mean, if anything is a prime example, if you watched any of the hearings this week, the way legislators were acting toward witnesses, asking their names.
Well, yeah, they're basically ousting them because they know they already have two militias behind closed doors to go after them, and
Right.
they already have been going after them.
Well, I can't remember her name, but the blonde woman with the glasses, the IT person, can't get a job now. Her family's been threatened. Her kids have been threatened. She had to move. I mean, this is insane. You can't come forward now and say, hey, I saw something bad happen. And if you went and joined a protest, you may have people show up at your home for not following the rules, right? Because we've seen how some of these people, Karens or whatever you want to call them, are behaving now, pepper spraying people for not wearing a mask. I mean, they've just gone completely insane. So they may show up at your home. For God's sakes, this has gotten insane. Like, I know there are people who want to join a protest on these lockdowns and help small businesses and stop this from happening, but they are also afraid of what would happen. It's just disturbing.
Well, that's the entire problem. Normally, if you look at the 70s and 80s, when let's look at how the Latin population during that period had issues with shopping and whatnot, at least opening their stores and whatnot. You'd see Black Panther people there. You'd see white people there. That thing is no longer anymore. It's now everyone is their own camp, and that's the main problem.
Exactly. And it's not going to change unless you've got enough numbers every night consistently just disobeying these. They're not laws. And I love when Cuomo keeps saying they're laws, that the mask mandate is a law. They're not laws. They're executive orders. And he lost his executive privileges regarding this pandemic on November 3rd. It's funny how nobody in the media has asked him about that. That was his final day with his executive orders and this power. But he's still continuing on. And, of course, like I said, the Senate and Assembly is Democrat. They're not going to stop him. I'm just waiting for somebody in the media to say you're continuing with these executive orders or these mandates, but you lost your ability to do that. Don't you have to go through the Assembly and Senate? And they're not asking.
Thing. The media is already within pockets with them, so you're kind of screwed in that regards. Yep. They own the information hub, they own the governmental hub, and they own the cops because they own their pensions. So what you gonna do?
Christy says, "Fuck these mask holes." I never heard that one, mask holes. That's pretty good. So what we need here is a consistent thumb of the nose to Governor Cuomo, but it's got to be consistent, and it's got to be large, and it's got to be every day. I drove by Walmart. There's a road called Commercial Drive. All corporations on this road, right? It's super busy all the time. After Thanksgiving, right? After everybody could not go to a family member's house, you couldn't gather on Thanksgiving. If you had more than 10 people, the governor wanted you to be turned in by your neighbor or whatever, so that the police could come. I drive by Best Buy, Walmart, Staples, and all these mega stores to go do a job, and guess what? The parking lots at 9 a.m. Black Friday were jam-packed. For corporations.
Those businesses are essential. That's the entire problem.
Now, if people said, screw these corporations, they're allowed to stay open, let's all go to a local restaurant or a retail organization and buy something from them instead of going to Walmart, Best Buy, Staples, or whatever to buy things.
You want to sort this out? We all seen. I think it's a Keanu Reeves movie where you have the dead presidents that rob banks. You need Cuomo masks by the thousands.
Yeah,
and you need to pull off a Black Lives Matter. You need to pull off an Antifa with Cuomo masks, and just all you have to do is chant "You're with Cuomo" and hit those corporate affiliates. That's how you do it. Because then the media is like, well, which side do we pick? The corporations or Cuomo? Because these people apparently are Cuomo supporters. They all wear his mask. They all chant him.
It's funny that you say that because Biden, all of his picks for his cabinet worked for Google, Amazon, Lyft.
Exactly.
And the media is like cheering this. They are like, look at this cabinet. It's an all-star studded CEO
Well, yeah,
cabinet.
these people are bleeding. Their companies are bleeding and hemorrhaging money. They need those corporations to prop them up. I mean, CNN, everyone is up for sale. If Biden doesn't get picked, those companies are going to go down.
Even Fox
But
News eventually.
Yeah, but if Biden is get picked, guess who's going to own CNN? It's going to be Google or Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Bezos from Amazon.
What's the difference between CNN now and a CNN owned by Bezos or Google?
It's going to get worse.
Yes.
Because then you're going to see a whole slew of subliminal messaging you haven't seen before. Because currently they're just driving an agenda. They're driving a propaganda. They haven't driven a subliminal agenda yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a subliminal agenda. Where
Good
they're
point.
going to sneak in, these people are a problem, these people are a problem. And they're basically going to cater their entire news segments towards those people. And that's going to be a scary time. Because people say, oh, Trump with the Knights of the Long Knives. No, you're going to see it then. And it's going to be common folk that will be bearing the knives.
Exactly. We've got some from LA here. I'll bet you Mayor Garcetti doesn't cancel his Christmas. Let's cancel the Democrats. And you know what? You should probably throw some Republicans in there and just say it's not all Democrats, but some of the Republicans are joined in with this wear a mask and close down your business. It'll be all right. Flatten the curve crap. Instead of cowering with fear with a virus. Yeah, you know, here's Garcetti.
Good evening, Los Angeles, and thank you.
Oh. Geez, that's weird.
Dr. Robert Redfield, the director of the CDC, said the next 3 months are going to be the most difficult in the public health history of this nation.
Boy, we've come a long way from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to the next 3 months, 9 months later.
Sadly, we Dutch have a song. Sadly, there are no English subtitles for it, but you would have loved it because they sang over. Well, first we didn't need masks. Then we needed masks. Then we didn't need this. Now we need that. And they basically went by month by month by month by different legislations, and it's just a minute long. It's a very short but concise song. But sadly, there's no subtitles for it.
Largely because of the stress that's going to be put on our healthcare system.
We heard this in March of February, right? The stress on our healthcare system, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I saw a lot of videos this summer of empty hospitals.
Well, over here in the Netherlands, the Dutch government had in 2019 had a major budget cut for the hospitals. So the first thing we Dutch people asked the government, so are the hospitals going to get their money back? Because you cut their funding. So a lot of hospitals are going to be closed for this. And they had no answer for that. Well, they did. They're sending patients over to Belgium and Germany now. So.
Well, in the United States, Trump sent the 2 Navy ships, right? One to L.A., one to New York City. Created mobile hospitals, the Javits Center in New York. And I can't remember what the one in California was, but it was virtually non-used. So they packed it up and moved them.
The biggest joke with those ships was he was like, we're going to send them the biggest ships, huge ships, blah, blah, blah. And they were ridiculing him over the ships. But the minute those ships weren't needed, they had a problem because that didn't fit the COVID agenda.
Exactly. Exactly. So here he is. Well, we'll keep playing Garcetti and see what he has to say. But his, I guess the new thing in L.A. is everybody's locked down. You are to stay in your homes.
We're beginning to feel that
Australia right now.
What's that, Victor?
They're doing the thing that you do that they've been doing in Australia, in Greece, and in Spain and Italy, where you can't get out of your house without notifying the government.
Ah, and that's working because every time they open up a little bit, more people get sick and they close right back down.
Well, no. Over in Greece, they've been torching police stations. Over in Italy, they've been having to use the military as the police no longer dares to go into certain neighborhoods. In Spain, they pretty much gave up. But Australia is still, they're too kind. And that's kind of the sad thing, because the roughnecking Australians are not in the big cities where they are doing this.
Yeah, like Sydney or Melbourne or, yeah, they're out.
No
farther.
no offense, but people give Perth a lot of flack, but you don't hear squat about Perth. And that's basically because the people in Perth don't give a crap about the government.
Yeah, we don't hear any
I'm kind of
stories.
curious because I got a buddy up in Perth, and he's like, I can do whatever I want.
We don't hear any stories out of that city. I wonder why.
Well, that's mainly because the police can't enforce over there, and they know it.
Stress here in Los Angeles. And the latest data is nothing short of alarming. In the last month alone, since early November, our daily infections have tripled. Our hospitalizations have more than tripled and are at a new peak. And our deaths have nearly doubled, and they continue to rise. These numbers don't reflect last week's record-breaking numbers. They don't reflect yet the Thanksgiving effect of time spent together with families when many people were gathering and traveling in defiance of public health warnings.
In defiance of public warnings. Holy cow. Wow. What's interesting is...
they're just saying you're defying the laws.
Well, the mandates, because they aren't really laws. Nobody's passed a law yet stating that you have to stay home when the government says you do, because it wouldn't pass constitutional muster. So they don't pass a law, per se. They have to avoid doing that, because it'll be shot down. So they just write executive orders.
And here in our Golden State, unfortunately, California has one of the fewest numbers of hospital beds per capita.
Remember, we heard the whole summer there was going to be a second wave. Remember that? I seem to recall that happening all summer long. What were you doing, Mayor Garcetti, during the entire 9-month period when you knew a second wave was coming?
But, well, that's the whole thing. I already I dropped it in Bookie's suggested articles. There is already a study of the second wave doesn't exist because they keep on going with the Spanish flu. But that's an influenza virus. COVID isn't an influenza virus. It's an airborne virus. That one doesn't have a second wave. That's basically the whole virus archetype. It either kills everyone straight out, or it doesn't come back anymore because it came and it went.
So it's just these politicians are just they're starting to really irritate me at this point.
Well, they're abusing the ignorance of people. Mm-hmm. That's the main problem.
Well, they've got a lot of people scared to death is what they've got right now. right?
Well, they have people scared to death, but the main problem is people are not aware what viruses do. And people equate the difference between a bacteria and a virus, and that's not how it works. There are specific types of viruses. One goes into your bloodstream, one goes through air, other goes through water. All those kind of things are different types of viruses, and that's the entire problem. People only know the word virus because
Right.
everyone has had a computer and everyone has had a computer virus. That's how they look at it. And the flu is seasonal, so it
Well,
must be seasonal. It
the-
must come
the-
back from spring to fall. So
COVID killed the flu because there is no flu right now. So
well, no, but that's the thing. The flu is an influenza, and COVID isn't, and that's the big difference. And that's why we Dutch have been suing the government over it. The CPR testing is bullshit because there are specific rules about testing. They are, in order to actually get a positive test, you can only cycle 20 to 30 times, but they cycle well beyond 90 to 100 times. So whatever you test positive at that point might as well be cancer because you don't know what it is anymore.
well, you just brought up cancer. That just reminded me of an additional point I wanted to make is about all of the people this summer. They're finding out that the people who weren't getting their heart screenings, their checkups, their
Yeah, those
even their
people are
dental
dying,
work
and they're
done.
not getting medical aid.
Right. And people are, finding out they've got stage 4 cancer when at the beginning of the year it could have been stage 1 and easily handled. Even dental work, believe it or not. Remember, the dentists in the United States and most of the United States were closed. Now, dental issues can cause major health issues. A lot of people forget that. If you got an abscessed tooth or something, I mean, a lot of people are finding out, oh crap, now I need all this dental work and I've got all kinds of dental problems, which plaque leads to, they say, plaque leads to heart problems, but you could have had an infection which can kill you. A dental infection can kill you, right?
Well, it's not just that, but the main problem is, let's say you had open heart surgery planned this year.
Mhm.
Guess what? You're not getting it. You had a kidney transplant scheduled this year. Guess what? You don't get it. And here's the thing. Kidney dialysis, which is a thing you have to do every week, it's already known. A lot of countries stopped doing that. So people who had kidney problems, who died from it, they got raked up in the COVID numbers. Over here in the Netherlands, we have specific centers for that. Just like in America, where you have abortion clinics, they stay open because those are essential.
I mean, this is getting so frustrating because more people are dying as the result of a 9-month lockdown. For instance, look at Japan. I read an article where Japan, they've been doing the same thing, locking everybody up. Suicides now outnumber COVID deaths in Japan.
Well, the suicides already outnumbered the COVID deaths.
Yep.
It's now to a magnitude where they have a problem of they can no longer process the bodies in time, which is saying much because Japan had already had a high suicide rate, an extremely high suicide rate.
But a country with a high suicide rate, locking people up that just exasperates that problem, right?
Well, yeah, but they have a solution. The Japanese immigration minister has struck a deal with importing immigrants in Japan. Let's sink that in Japan, one of the most racist countries in the world.
That is funny.
Immigrants. That's gonna end well.
That is funny because a lot of Republicans just voted for a bill to import workers in the United States.
Well, that's the thing. We Dutch, we currently don't have the whole immigrant thing coming in the Netherlands specific, but we still have our colonies. We ask them every year if they still want to be a colony. But they still want to be a colony, so don't complain to us about that. But Aruba, for instance, they have had a terrible tourist season, as no tourists showed up. But guess what? 15,000 immigrants showed up. And I don't need to tell you about how far away Africa is from the Caribbean. How the hell did they get on a boat that crossed that part of the sea? But 15,000 people showed up.
I hear the Chinese rubber rafts are pretty good.
Yeah, the only difference is they always seem to sink right in front of the coastline, which is very weird.
Exactly. Well, let's finish up with this Garcetti dude. And
compared to other states. So if cases continue on this pathway, if they continue to increase at the pace that we've seen, the county expects that we will run out of hospital beds here in Los Angeles by Christmas time. The public health of our city, the public health condition of our city, is as dire as it was in March, in the earliest days of this pandemic. So tonight, I want to speak, as always, to you candidly, with the truths and the statistics that I get as soon as I get them, to share them with you. And to know what we can do in the coming days. It's as much what you choose not to do as what you do that will determine what happens here in our beloved hometown. The choices between us are stark, between health and sickness, between care and apathy, and yes, between life and death for too many of the people that we love. My message couldn't be simpler. It's time to hunker down. It's time to cancel everything, and if it isn't essential, don't do it. Don't meet up with others outside your household. Don't host a gathering. Don't attend a gathering. And following our targeted safer at home order, if you're able to stay.
Here is his problem. We've heard all of this in March. We heard it in April. We heard it in May. We heard it in June. We heard it. I mean,
My
they just keep...
main problem is the sign language lady. Because I know sign language.
Mm.
I don't know what she said.
Oh, I see. I don't know sign language, so she could have been saying
the thing
anything.
with sign language is they have symbolisms for things. They don't have symbolisms for closing down, for shutting down. Those need to be spelled out. And she didn't do any of that. So how are deaf people gonna grasp anything?
Exactly.
Because that was a disjointed form of sign language. Maybe American Sign Language is being different than European Sign Language, but I can even understand a Russian one. So, and I'm not good in Russian.
The concrete cowboy, he said doo-doo. Yeah, I heard that. Instead of what you do. Poor speechwriter. This is L.A. Apparently some store, this has got to be independently owned because it doesn't look like a chain store, but an independent retail store has a bunch of posters up about Biden, about Garcetti. It's interesting. Unfortunately, it's the middle of the day and the store appears to be closed.
But those are some huge and large posters.
They spent some money on these things because that's not cheap to print those.
No.
I will turn off your power if you don't obey Target, Costco, Walmart, etc. can sell non-essential items, but small businesses are forbidden. That's an effective poster right there.
Oh yeah.
Notice-
Is this an Etch-a-Sketch shop? Because they might have an A3 printer lying around, so they could just print out these posters.
I think it's just a retail retail goods shop. Excuse me. Selling clothes, because that looks like a below the poster. It looks like I don't know, some books or something, like a gift package or something for sale. But we'll see what the rest of the posters say. But that's an effective poster to use as a protest. Not 5G causes COVID. You know, you're going to lose
The whole
people with that.
Here's the thing about 5G. People being bitching about 5G. You wanna bitch about harmful radiation? Go to your local radio station that no longer operates, but there's now currently a flash stock market flash selling company in there. They use harmful microwaves for microburst trading. Those are the things that kill birds. So if you want to bitch about stuff, 5G isn't the problem.
Right. Well, you got to have your protest. You got to keep it simple. And what this person is doing is perfect. You don't show up at a protest with your Trump flag. Trump 2020 flag. That has nothing to do with protesting a lockdown, right?
Oh no, because Trump is part of the problem. He's not telling the governors anything what to do. So you can come with your Trump flag. Trump doesn't care.
Christy says Washington will now do what California says. Yeah, they're usually lockstep. So Washington will force everybody inside as well.
Well, yeah, but that's what I've been saying. They've been testing the waters globally in different measures in different countries, and then using those countries as an example. The same thing happens over in America with the states.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, New York works, so why can't I do it over here?"
Well, Concrete Cowboy says those posters run between $200 and $250.
Yeah, they ain't cheap.
No. Yeah, that's a retail store because I see like shirts and back up a little bit. You see the shelving there with shirts and everything, so it's not a printing shop.
No, but I figured they might have a printing booth or something, because as it's a privately owned one, they might have different things going on in there.
It looks like it is closed because I don't see any lights on it. It looks like
it's closed. The gate is down.
Yep. Here's one. The name of the store is Kitson's. People of the Year. Quotation: "Where is my laptop? My China deal is on it. Don't forget 10% for the big guy." Holy, these are effective posters.
Yeah, but just wait for the minute the media companies get bought out by the tech companies, because then these posters are starting to become illegal.
So
and then you get in the real world where it's obey.
Christy says it's a high-end shop on Melrose Avenue, but it's not. I don't think it's a national chain, right, or any corporate chain. It can't be if they're putting these
no.
up.
It's not an essential chain, so it's not a corporate chain, but they're going to be closing down faster than your mom and pop shop around the corner, because they're if you're on Melrose, you're paying the big bucks to own that place.
Well, yeah, that's prime real estate, right? And you've got to pay your rent, because if you don't pay your rent, you're not going to be there.
Well, exactly, and that's the main problem. That's why people, even on the high end, are starting to come by with this can't happen.
Next one. Oh, back up a little bit. Here we go. Oh, come on. He's not very good with the camera. Let me back up here so I can see it. Okay. I demand to speak to a manager now. I have a return from a sweater I bought 2 years ago. Karen. Wow, they're ripping into everybody. Whoa. I'm a little surprised at this one.
Well, that's the entire problem. Everyone thinks, it's a Democratic stronghold. Yeah, but that's because of sleeper voters. They once voted, and after that, people just tally them up as they have voted. A lot of Californians and New Yorkers are pretty based. They're gonna show their true colors pretty soon.
I'm thinking the point of calling this person a Karen is because all of the Karens are causing a lot of problems with turning businesses in and chasing people down with masks, without masks, right?
Well, yeah. I believe Bookie had that shown where there was a news reporter up in Canada that literally was counting people going into a church.
Yes. Yep.
And by the way, I've looked up purse rulings, and that's Western Australia. There is no limit to the number of guests you're allowed to have, as long as there's no more than one person per square meter. So.
Wow.
That's the thing. There are regions you can't govern, so you let them be. So you're just going to hurdle the other people. Because once they're compliant, you can hit the hardcore, the people who don't comply.
Well, that's why you look at like Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota. They really aren't enforcing any lockdowns whatsoever because it's not as populous. It's pretty spread out. And how are you going to stop people? Like my county, our sheriff says, yeah, okay, people are calling the. Here's how far it's gotten. Our county executive told people to call the 911 center if they see something like a person without a mask, a business not following the rules.
It's currently, it's no longer they have a hotline for it. No, it's now an emergency.
Yeah.
Call 911, which is absurd.
Well, my neighbor works for 911, right? And he said that's all they're fielding now is it's clogging up the lines with these people calling hysterically. I saw a guy in a store without a mask, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And the sheriffs, they're not going out there and even doing anything about it because they really don't care at this point, 9 months into it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The minute they got their soft spots under control, they're going to come for the people who don't enforce it.
Yep.
And they're going to replace them. And that's the main problem. Over here in the Netherlands, the Randstad, it's a nightmare. But anywhere beyond the Randstad, which is basically the economic hub of the Netherlands, which is Utrecht, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, that triangle. If you're outside of it, you're fine. You can do whatever you want. But within that circle, within that triangle, you're fucked. Which is basically New York and California right now for you guys.
Right. And Michigan, too. That's somewhere near the middle of the country. Well, Karen.
Thank you for keeping me safe.
Let's see what the next one looks like here. Well, this one's got Dr. Fauci on it. In March of 2020, masks are not needed. They don't help. In May of 2020, wear a mask. Bill Gates is my BFF. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. Wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. Dr. Anthony Fauci. Make up your mind. And they've got the picture of him sitting alone because he and his friends or his wife were the only ones allowed at opening day, and he's there not wearing a mask, if you remember that one. That's an effective one.
Well, yeah, but that's how we made where our we currently have a song going around, and Twitter has been shutting it down. YouTube has been shutting down that song hard because that song it's basically just listing up every contradiction with the whole COVID thing, and they're not liking it at all.
No. So far, I think out of the 4 posters we've seen, and that's about $1,000 worth of posters, effective posters, whoever put these together.
Yeah, but imagine the rent would be around 10,000, if not more, since it's on Melrose.
Well, we're not done yet, because there's more posters.
No, those posters are cheap compared to the rent.
Yes. Well, the sad part is that this store is not open. It's the middle of the day.
I gotta ask though, is this recorded by a Karen?
Yeah, the camera, whoever's holding this camera is doing a horrible job. It says Donald Trump Jr. in the bottom, but maybe that was just a retweet. I don't know. You gotta be... Oh, they got... Okay. This is a joke. They've got a poster of Alyssa Milano wearing a Santa Claus hat with a shirt that says defund the police. Now, I don't know if they support that. I'm guessing...
Yeah, she supports that.
But is the store supporting it?
Oh yeah, the store is supporting that as well.
Well,
No. The irony is, you need to understand, this is a mugshot.
Ah, I thought so.
That's how you get the joke. That's why she has defund the police on a mugshot. That's the joke.
I get it now. Yep. Yeah, I was wondering if the store supported defunding the police, but now I'm looking at it. It does look like a mugshot of her. In a weird shirt, because that shirt doesn't seem right.
Well, I think they cut... it might be actually a shirt of hers, but it looks like it's copy to paste worse than the Santa hat on top of her head.
Yes.
But I wouldn't surprise Alyssa Milano actually wearing that.
No. Read the poster. See the scroll stuffed animal. I'm not sure what you mean, Christy. Next one.
I think Christy meant David, call 911. There's a squirrel on our back. Yeah, in our backyard. Because they even put the lettering on the windows. They actually spent a lot of money because they had special lettering on the window.
So there's a squirrel down there eating nuts or something.
Yeah.
This is to mock. They're mocking her. I'm almost certain.
Oh yeah. But let's be honest, she deserves to be mocked. Her hashtag #MeToo movement, they barely spent anything to actually do anything, but they got paid royally.
Oh, yeah. Yes. They made a lot of money. Kind of like the Joe Biden cancer research program where they didn't give out any money, but everybody made millions of dollars.
Well, yeah, but that's how charities work. We had, what's it called? Oxfam Novib. I don't know if you guys have those. They were supposed to build little villages in Africa. And then you have a rich donor who is like, well, I'm going to visit one of those villages. Mm-hmm. They tried to stop him from getting on the plane in the Netherlands. They tried to stop him from getting off the plane. They tried to stop him getting in Africa. He got stopped pretty much on every part where he had to literally bribe people to get through. Turns out there weren't any villages.
That's like the Sally Struthers, for 25 cents a day, you can buy a full bag of rice for Malika. You know? Yeah, okay. Malika doesn't exist, and that bag of rice isn't going anywhere.
Well, yeah, but that's the entire thing. If you see a Red Cross advertisement about starving Africans in the desert, because they always have these refugee camps in the deserts, even though 10 miles outside of the desert, there's lush green. Because everyone thinks Africa is a desert. It's not.
So they're trying to say she's nuts, I think, with the scroll. But
Yeah.
Christy says Alyssa used to shop at Kitson's.
Oh yeah, but that's the entire thing. She probably also shoplifted at Kitson's. Because why pay for something, right? You're famous.
Well, a lot of these celebrities will walk in and demand something for free because I'm wearing something from your shop, you know, and I'm famous.
They don't even demand, they just walk out. And if you stop them, then they will demand.
Now, didn't the Queen and whatever king, well, I don't know if the king did this, but the Queen of England, whenever she and her husband would go into shops in London, if they saw something
They never
liked,
paid.
they never pay, right?
No, but it's the same thing with the Dutch royalty. They just show up and expect to be catered to. Because that's royalty.
Let's see what the next one is here. Oh, Christy, now I understand what you're trying to say. David, call 911. There is a squirrel in our backyard. See the top of the poster?
Yeah, and
Yep.
sees the squirrel.
Yeah. Because she did call 911, and she did say defund the police. Oh, wow. They spent some money. They put some lettering on the windows.
That's what I said. They put lettering on their windows. That's they went for rules for me, rules for D, not for me. Nancy Pelosi.
Yes.
Getting her hair done.
Wow, this store went all out. There's a bigger thing. I'm going to see. This guy with the camera was terrible. The hypocrites of 2020 is above that.
Yeah.
Wow. They went all out.
The problem with these people is you have a phone. Flip it to the side so we can see everything.
Yes. And it's jumping all over the place. It's at bad angles.
Well, that's the thing. If you put it in panoramic view, the shutter will adjust to movements. If you have it in front of you, they think you're doing FaceTiming, so it's close up, so it will stutter if you move too fast.
Wow. They got more here, I think. Oh, I just caught that. These people were smart. Let me tell you. Look at the book back there.
Oh yeah, their books are on display. It's the books of the people who sell them.
I can't read it. The French Laundry. That's where Newsom got caught at a big dinner. Wow, these people did
They got very creative.
Yes, a well thought out protest.
The sad thing is, though, a lot of people won't know anything about this, so it will fly right above their head.
God, this guy's camera.
Because you got to be on Twitter and follow certain groups in order to catch these memes.
All right. This guy's camera work is horrible, but I'm going to try my best. I demand a better table at the French Laundry restaurant, and I want to be seated inside with my 22 friends. And then I think there was something below that. It's Gavin Newsom. Oh, let me back up.
Yeah, below it is Gavin Newsom.
Okay. I saw the blue thing. I couldn't read it because his camera is jumping everywhere. But it just says Shop Kitson, Los Angeles.
Yeah, just the lettering of Gavin Newsom was below there. But still, they pretty much made a meme gallery worth 20,000 bucks at this point.
Yeah, so far, yeah, at least 20,000 they put into this. Wow, they got another one. I will pay $100K to help rioters and criminals get out of jail. Goya. Got a tattoo on her that says Goya. That's Chrissy Teigen. And I can't read what's on the sign.
Yeah, they were better off making pictures at this point.
Yeah, the camera work is just absolutely horrendous. Let me see if I can back up and... Nope, the angle's terrible. Okay, it says... Genikin Hair, our Luter hair cream, doesn't come out until October. And I can't read the other one. It's just such a bad angle. It looks garbled. I love Goya.
Yeah, we know, Christy. It's her tweets. There are tweets on the sign, but it's horrible to read.
Janelle can Harris. Oh, this is a tweet. They responded back. Janelle can Harris responds back at Kitson, Los Angeles. My apologies. We won't be anymore. Use the shampoo to help clean up the graffiti. So I guess they ended their relationship with Janelle can Hair.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why support a candidate that supports you no longer being open?
Exactly. Oh, cans of Goya beans in the window. Oh. That was going through that video instead of just watching it and actually seeing some of the work that was put into that display. Because watching it, it's only 1:41. The camera work is pretty lousy. It's so quick. It's angled bad. It's jumpy. But if you actually stop it and look at it, you catch a lot of things that you miss if you just quickly look at it.
Well, that's why people need to be instructed on flipping the phone to the side. They need to make basically a notification on your phone that says, "How about flipping it to the side if you're filming?"
Yes. Well, someone did a video of one of the Dominion centers where the votes were being held, or the machines, or something along those lines in one of the states. But the video, I felt I was getting car sick watching the video. It's like,
yeah, but that's the thing. People don't know how to do video.
No, you got to hold it still or get a stick, one of these sticks. Even they sell cheaply that don't rattle like that, rattle the video.
Well, but that's the thing. If you put it into panoramic view, you don't have the rattle. That's built in the app. That's the entire problem. They use the FaceTime mode, which doesn't work. Because that's made for still photos, not for camera work.
Right. Yeah, and that's why it's a long portrait view of the video instead of a wide shot. Because most phones will give you a big wide shot, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Every phone has a panoramic view. You just have to flip the phone to the side and it will go into that setting. But they always hold the phone because they need to see it for some odd reason, and they don't want to use two hands instead of one.
People, you're right there. You're seeing what's happening. You don't need to see what's happening on your phone.
Well, tell that to concert goers.
Here is this one I'm gonna play. I know it's CNN, but I was kind of shocked, and maybe because she got busted by Project Veritas is the reason why she came out and did this segment. It's 5 minutes long, but I was shocked that CNN let this one roll. Did you catch this one, Victor?
No.
Okay, so here we go.
A number of Democratic leaders apologizing or reversing course after multiple occurrences of do as I say, not as I do. They have been caught not following their own coronavirus guidelines. In San Francisco, Mayor London Breed facing backlash after it was revealed that she attended a birthday party last month at the French Laundry, the famed and exclusive Napa Valley restaurant, with 7 other people at her table. The mayor's office says it was an open-air table, which seems like semantics since it was a partially enclosed room complete with a ceiling and chandelier, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. And when this party happened, such gatherings were discouraged by statewide guidelines, even if indoor dining was permitted in Napa County. The mayor had traveled to the dinner outside of her own city, which was on the verge of entering its red tier, the second most restrictive for the state. And yesterday, Breed warned that San Francisco may close all outdoor dining because the restrictions have not been working.
We have to continue to do our part to distance ourselves from one another and to limit our activities. We are in trouble and we are sounding the alarm, as I said before. So that's going to mean some real challenging months ahead.
Isn't it hilarious? They all say the same thing. I mean, you could have just put Cuomo's face there and it would have sounded exactly the same.
But if you zoom out the camera, you'll see they have a huge gathering behind the camera.
Yes, with people with no masks.
But the biggest irony is CNN and whatnot will report, oh, look at these Democrats. They're not following their rules.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the journalists? Have you seen the news studios? They're still packing an entire studio full of people.
Yep.
They're not. It's not. Oh, we just have the cameraman and a producer in a booth. No, they still have their entire crew. Journalists will huddle in hordes. No problem.
That's exactly like when you see the White House press conference, and when Kayleigh leaves, they all take off their masks.
Well, not just that, but they also travel from state to state to even global travel.
Right.
But they don't have to quarantine.
Right.
They can, CNN can send one person today to Australia where there is a mandatory mandate for quarantining yourself. That person can be there right on the moment where a press conference is given, and they'll fly out the next day.
In all fairness, in Australia, if you're an actor or part of a movie production, you don't have to quarantine either.
You don't have to do it. You don't have to hold yourself. But if you think it's it's just a Hollywood thing, take big business.
Yep.
Because private jets are still flying sky high.
Yep. If Jeff Bezos decides to go to Australia, they are not going to make him quarantine.
You think the Chinese economic investors that are flying in and out of Australia are going to be quarantined?
Yeah.
They can fly straight out of Wuhan. It doesn't matter.
Now, the restaurant has been quite the draw for Democratic officials defying the spirit, if not the letter, of the very regulations they're telling their constituents to follow. The day before Breed's dinner at the French Laundry, Governor Gavin Newsom also attended a party there with at least a dozen other people from different households. He later apologized for it.
The spirit of what I'm preaching all the time was contradicted, and I got to own that. And so I want to apologize to you because I need to preach and practice, not just preach.
In Los Angeles County, Supervisor Sheila Kuehl voted to close outdoor dining last week and then dined at a restaurant before the order took effect. While explaining her vote, she said that it's magical thinking to say that people can wear masks and distance at a restaurant. Kuehl's office says she felt sorry for the restaurant business's struggles and vowed that she would not dine out again until the county permits it. And in San Jose, California, Mayor Sam Liccardo is also apologizing for ignoring state restrictions during Thanksgiving when he attended a gathering with his elderly parents that included guests from 5 different households. California limits households at private gatherings to 3. Before his large Thanksgiving dinner, Mayor Liccardo had tweeted this guidance, quote, "Cancel the big gatherings this year and focus on keeping each other safe." In Denver, Mayor Michael Hancock told residents of his city to skip large Thanksgiving dinners, quote, "Stay home and stay in touch with friends, family by phone or online." He sent that tweet, and then he promptly appeared at the Denver airport and flew to Mississippi to spend the holiday with his wife and daughter. The mayor's office confirming his travels, and Hancock later releasing a statement asking his city for forgiveness. He said this, quote, "I apologize to the residents of Denver who see my decision as conflicting with the guidance to stay at home for all but essential travel. I made my decision as a husband and father, and for those who are angry and disappointed, I humbly ask you to forgive decisions that are born of my heart and not my head." Now, he apologized to the residents who saw his decision as conflicting with guidance. But to be clear, this isn't a matter of interpretation. He did the exact opposite of what he told everyone else to do. And in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo last week told a local radio host that his Thanksgiving would include his 89-year-old mother.
My mom is going to come up, and 2 of my girls is the current plan. But the plans change.
Then in the very same interview, Cuomo told New Yorkers that this couldn't be a typical Thanksgiving for them, that they shouldn't have friends and family gathering.
I'm trying to say to people now, you know, you watch all these commercials on TV, and they're selling commercial Thanksgiving, right? 20 people around the table, pass me the wine, pass me this. That's not happening. That can't happen. It can't happen.
Now, the backlash was quick. Cuomo suddenly changed his plans. One of the governor's advisors telling CNN that the next day, Cuomo would now be working on the holiday.
Now, if he didn't let that slip in that interview, he would have had his 2 daughters and his mother over.
Well, you think he doesn't have his mother? He has even more people coming over. That's the thing. He already apologized, so he no longer has to hide behind his shame.
Well, that's true. Nobody checked to see if he didn't have people over, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. He already apologized in advance. He's smart like that.
Yeah, it's the commercial's fault that people are wanting to get together for Thanksgiving.
The past few weeks brought into relief a pattern of leaders failing to lead by example, asking Americans to make sacrifices that they themselves are unwilling to make, and appearing sorry only when they're caught. Trust is built slowly, but it evaporates faster than reservations at a fancy restaurant. A lot of these leaders, they are looking across the aisle to blame Republicans who aren't taking mask wearing seriously. But maybe it's time they also look in the mirror and ask themselves if that amuse-bouche was really worth it.
By the way, do you want to know why CNN let this one go? Because otherwise Tucker Carlson gets the monopoly on this hot topic item. And they need the viewers.
Oh, yes. He has been running shows about this, about the hypocrisy.
He's been running hot numbers ever since the COVID thing happened. And CNN has been losing viewers. Even Fox has been losing viewers.
What's interesting
Except
about
for Tucker Carlson.
Well, what's interesting about all of this is right after the election, all of these politicians are getting caught doing exactly the opposite of what they're telling everybody to do. But it's funny, it's just the last couple of weeks, and you heard her say that, and it's just interesting that they stopped their own personal lockdown right after the election, and they just went off and did whatever they wanted to do.
Well, no. The only reason why people pay attention is because they tried to cancel Thanksgiving, so people paid attention to them. Before that, no one paid any attention.
Exactly.
They've been skipping lockdown way before that, because if you take the Dutch government ministers and even the Dutch royal house, our great king came out and said, "Don't travel, don't go out, stay indoors." 5 minutes later, he was on a plane to Greece. A minister was like, "You can't have marriages today. You can't have funerals today." 2 days later, he had he had a marriage celebration going with over 150 guests. So it's not like they didn't do it before. It's just no one paid attention because it didn't matter.
Here's what's interesting about all this, because we keep hearing that you have to trust the science and everything. And we went through 9 months of lockdown, and now they're crying that it's worse than it ever was, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know who this James Fetzer is, but I saw this article out there. Revolver exclusive study, COVID-19 lockdowns are over 10 times more deadly than the pandemic itself. And I'm going to say, without even reading this article, it's probably everything you and I talked about tonight regarding the suicides. You could also throw in drug overdoses into that, because that's kind of suicide related, right? People are doing drugs because they can't kill themselves via drugs. Plus the people that you and I talked about that aren't getting their cancer screenings, their heart surgeries, their dialysis, and all of that. So, I mean, it's
and
not...
On top of that, there is a financial incentive to label people as COVID victims.
Yeah, and yes, exactly. I don't need to be a scientist with a study to tell you this. I mean, we told people this without even looking at this article, right? It's not rocket science.
I dropped in the suggestions just right now. I dropped the article that I dropped over to Boogie as well. I hope he's going to cover it. But the PCR false positive pseudo epidemic lockdown. That's a lovely read. It's a huge read, but it's a lovely read. Because they go in depth on why PCR testing for COVID does not work.
Okay,
you might actually get 0 positives out of 1 million tests. Even though the test states it's positive, 1 million of those people won't have the virus.
I'm dropping both the links. The one for the Discord on the tests, and this article about how the lockdown is 10 times more deadly. But without even reading it, I could skim through it, and I'm seeing exactly what you and I talked about earlier is the reason why the pandemic lockdown is deadlier than the virus now at this point.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. In that study, they go in PCR testing being false, the whole lockdown system being unmanageable and illogical for any sorts of pandemic. Furthermore, they also go into the whole thing of the second wave not being even a thing for this type of virus. And the concept of what we Dutch already said we were going to do back in March was we were going for herd immunity, since 50% of the people were automatically immune to the virus, and the other 50% we'd only have to worry for the weak people who were susceptible to it in much more severe forms. But that's the thing. At this point, after the first wave, everyone is immune or dead. There is no, because that's the thing they always claimed, asymptomatic transmissions. Those things don't exist. It's not like the HIV virus, for instance. where you can have HIV but not full-blown AIDS, but still spread it, and everyone else will get full-blown AIDS. That's not how these viruses work. That's the entire problem. They basically lumped every nasty thing about viruses onto the COVID virus and said, well, it's the biggest and scariest thing ever. And the media is keeping the whole scenario running.
Exactly. I got that article. Wow, this article is long. What's interesting?
It's going from all the way back to November to now, and what went all wrong, and what wouldn't work, and what was stupid. But the thing is, they talk about a lot of lighthousing, and lighthousing is basically the new new name for where they keep on pushing certain narratives that made no sense.
It's okay, Christy. Christy, you can keep cussing in the chat. We're not going to care. You know, someone made a good point. What happened to the flu this year? We're in the middle of flu season here, at least in North America, upstate New York. The flu's nobody's got the flu. Nobody.
No, but that's the entire thing. Because they what they had in the beginning, due to the crappy testing setup they have set up, the flu gets automatically tagged in. Even the common cold gets tagged in for us a false positive. Hell, even so, your blood type gets tagged in. So if you have, that's where the racial thing comes from, where the Hispanics and the Africans, they have African Americans, they have the biggest chance for COVID. No, they have a certain blood type, and that gets tested as positive. That's the difference.
Exactly. I mean, we keep hearing trust the science, but when people bring up valid points like what happened to the flu, nobody catches a cold anymore. You see what social media does. The politicians, they ignore you or call you a conspiracy theorist. You know this virus. You're risking
with the whole
people's lives.
environmental thing, they already had the perfect label of science denier.
Yeah.
So
yes.
you were already screwed even from the get-go, because they already had labels to put on you, and everyone already knew those labels.
Exactly. Wow. That's all I've got tonight.
I
Victor.
got something for you.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, that's the. You don't have to play the whole thing. It's in the suggestions. The Eye of the Storm. Just play that one. You're gonna get. I'm not gonna explain how it works. They'll explain you how it works, and just imagine that study has been funded and ran for over 50 years now in classrooms. And then you'll understand how scary and that test has been for showing how easy it is to divide up America.
Okay. You just put it in there, or?
No. It's way up there.
Okay.
It's called The Eye of the Storm.
Okay, let me find it here.
James Elliott, 1970s.
Okay. Shut that off. Let's go over here.
All right, we're working on a 2008 Ford Focus.
Video.
I highly recommend everyone to watch that, because that's how easily they got people to do the thing they want you to do.
Okay, I'm still trying to find it. Let me
I'll repost it. Give me a sec.
Okay, let me put a video up on the screen so we don't have dead air here.
Oh, no. Here, I'll drop it in the D-Live chat so people can easily catch it as well.
All right, let me see if I can find this.
It's in the D-Live chat.
Ah, got it. Let me pull it up. Come on. Okay, I got it. You
Please
wanted
understand, this is a highly awarded and highly praised study.
you had it at 326. Should I start there? Or?
Start from the beginning, because otherwise you don't get the explanation on how it exactly works.
Boy, this is an old one.
Yes, and this lady has been going at it for well over 50 years now. So it's from a lovely Jewish lady who never had anything to do with
this is Sandra's
the whole,
and Raymond's
German
school.
Holocaust thing, but she figured let's test try that out in the kindergarten classes of the United States.
Oh, no kidding.
At her desk. This is Raymond at his desk. Sandra has brown eyes. Raymond has blue eyes. This is what their teacher said.
Blue-eyed people are smarter than brown-eyed people. They are cleaner than brown-eyed people. They are more civilized than brown-eyed people.
Sandra and her brown-eyed friends didn't like that day. But Raymond did.
I felt like I was a king, like I ruled them brown eyes, like I was better than them.
Can you pause for a sec?
Holy shit.
Do you now understand why the whole gratification of the LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all that entitlement became a thing?
Yep, because they tell you, they put them on a pedestal. If you come out as transgender in school, you're elevated above everybody else.
And Chris Christie, please understand, this is a world-renowned and highly regarded study, and it's been going on for 50 years in America's classrooms. Because I have another video of her still doing it today.
So she is actually promoting this?
No. You need to understand, the government is promoting this study.
And she's exposing it?
She's the one that invented the study. That's the difference.
Ah, got it. So the
and
government...
There are a whole slew of social engineering studies that spawned from the late 50s up to the early 80s that have been basically running in local schools, public schools for the most part, and especially in democratic regions.
So, you know what? People should watch things like this to it just makes you more aware of what's going on.
Well, you also need to understand these studies never stopped. Because everyone is like, oh, this is an old-timey-wimey study, where just like the MK Ultra studies and the LSD studies and whatnot. These studies never stopped. They kept doing this.
Well, instead of brown eye, blue eyes, just like we said, it's now transgender versus straight.
Well, the thing is, if you do a brown eyes, blue eyes study in a class, and then Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ comes up, you instantly recognize it.
Yes. Yep.
And you're like, oh, those are the blue eyes. We need to support them. I don't want to be a brown eye.
Exactly.
and she's done this. She's done this in all the class grades, all the way up to university. So,
and this is why this was in 1970. This is why you have young adults today, because their parents grew up on this.
Yeah, but even the young adults today grew up with this because this study never ended.
Well, that's why a lot of parents don't even question it, because they grew up with it. So their kids, and they promote it to their kids at home. Whereas if the parents weren't exposed to this and they start hearing what their kids going through at school, they get upset. We see those videos where parents get irate about, why is my kid going through this at school? Obviously, they didn't go through it in their school, and I think a lot of it depends on where you went to school, right?
Well, exactly. And the scary bit is, this isn't a study that they did for a few days. They did this for months, and then moved over to the next school and did it over there for months. Because the study wasn't about the whole. What do people think about being divided and one being superior? No, the study was, what's going to happen to the people you make inferior? That's where the scary bit comes from.
Yes.
Now, the American adventure. The people and events shaping our lives and our times now. This week, The Eye of the Storm, an experiment in teaching the anatomy of prejudice, with ABC News correspondent Bill Butel.
Wow. They're still doing this. It's just not about eye color anymore.
No. This same study is still running.
Really?
And she still gets invited to every university across the country. And she'll basically states, well, who's the, because here's the thing, she has an agenda. The white people are the blue-eyed people. Right. Everyone else is brown-eyed people. So, oh, you're gay, you're brown-eyed people. You're black, you're brown-eyed people. You're Jewish, you're brown-eyed people. So you instill this instantly hatred, because she's basically putting them through the Jewish persecution for a couple of months. So you instantly instill a certain kind of hatred towards your captors. And who are the captors? The blue-eyed people. And who are blue-eyed people? White people.
Well, it explains why everybody's called a Nazi now. You know?
Exactly. That's why I wanted to showcase this study.
Interesting. I am definitely going to watch this, because the more you know. I don't close off to most everything.
I have a whole slew of these videos.
You have a whole slew of a lot of other videos too, Victor.
Well, that's the benefit of an insomniac. You need something to entertain. And at some point, you're done with Hollywood movies and TV shows, so you're looking into documentaries and all that kind of sort of stuff.
Well, we're at the 2-hour mark, Victor. Again, it went by like it was nothing. It felt like we've only been on for a half an hour.
Well, that's what I try to bring to the show.
Yes, yeah. Well,
entertaining stuff, but keep it short.
I was semi-unprepared, but we filled 2 hours easily, as usual. So. And what's funny is a lot of the things we talk about at the beginning of the show end up in articles at the end of the show. So.
Well, yeah, but that's the entire scary thing. And people who are in the chat, share out that blue-eyed, brown-eyed study. And if you click on that, you'll probably get the later ones of 2017, 2018, 2019 as well in your recommended list. So watch those as well. Because she's basically remodeling that blue-eyed, brown-eyed thing for everything you're currently dealing with.
Yes, it's obvious. There's so many things to fix. I mean, first we got COVID, but there's 1,000 other things going on with the schools, the government is
isn't the
just
problem.
everywhere.
Quite honestly, COVID is the distraction.
Right, but
the minute you ignore COVID and deal with the issues at hand, but that's the problem.
Yeah.
Getting enough people to ignore the whole COVID issue.
Well, the problem
is a big problem.
People they can't pay their bills, they can't feed their families, so that's a huge distraction away from all the other horrible things that are going on. So when people complain that, why aren't people paying attention on Twitter? I'm starting to see a lot of people say, hey, I'm trying to feed my kids. I'm taking any job I can get, or people looking for jobs on Twitter now. I haven't seen that before. There's people actually saying I'm looking for a job.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. With the deregulation Clinton brought in, they finally got the death nail to the American economy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because the minute big corporations got a free hand in everything, all you have to do is, well, we have these big corporations, they're open, go shop there. Everyone else closed. And the small businesses, they are I've tried to when I was 23, I tried to start up my own computer store, and I had an issue because I wasn't allowed to have just AMD without also taking Intel.
Yeah.
And I hate Intel. I have my reasons for it. It's crap. It's way too expensive. I don't see the merit in it. But in order to order in AMD stuff, you had to also order in Intel stuff. And that's kind of the problem. The suppliers, everyone are arranged and geared towards, you have to pick this because this is our product. If you don't like it, well, you don't get any product. And small businesses are pretty much heavily dependent on the suppliers. And the suppliers aren't supplying anymore.
Yes.
They closed down.
That's exactly the problem my business is having. Right now, the COVID scare is hurting my business. I'm usually a little slower in the winter, but not this slow, number one. Number two, I'm still waiting for parts that are almost going on 2 months ago now. The customers are eventually going to say, I can't wait anymore, but my saving grace is they're not going to cancel their orders because everybody else is having the same problem. So it's just no money coming in for parts I've paid for months ago.
Well, no, but that's the problem everyone is dealing with, especially small mom and pop shops. They won't be able to. They ordered in their supplies, they don't get their supplies, and if they get their supplies, they can't open. And if they're dealing with perishable goods, those goods will wither away, and then you don't have the money to buy in new goods.
Well, I can't imagine being a restaurant because every time they have to shut, you have to throw everything out. That's you can't keep your refrigerators, walk-in coolers stocked right now because you could be shut down at a moment's notice. So how do you run a business that way? You can't.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone is like, oh, you could predict the shutdown. No, you don't.
No, you can't.
One day they're like, you're open. The next day, you're closed.
Yep.
And they do that randomly on purpose. They are not telling you we're going to close down in a week, and it's not because it's going to hurt their political stance or whatnot. No, they're doing that so you can't adjust. Because if you can't adjust, you're going to be broke in 3 months after later down the line.
Yep, exactly.
And then they can roll in the big government grants, where they basically state the government has a stakeholder in your company, and after that you're fucked. And that's the most criminal thing ever. Currently, I'm an independent coder. I work for a company. at the moment where I had a 5-year contract. In April that ends, so I'll be doing a lot more streaming then. But I can get a job anywhere because my job isn't essential. But because it's not essential, but and in other ways it is essential, since I've been being haunted by other companies that want applications based around the whole Corona thing. But anyone who's in construction or whatever, the minute real resources are being used, you're fucked, and that's kind of the scary thing.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I'm facing it now. It's a struggle right now.
Yeah, but the thing is, that construction company is going to go bankrupt. What's the government going to do? They're going to re-educate the dumb labor into college degrees where they can do software jobs and whatnot. But once the COVID is done, you need construction workers again.
Yeah.
Which gives them credence for the immigration, because they don't have builders. We need to import builders. We need to rebuild roads. We need to rebuild houses and whatnot.
Yep. And they're going to give them all to those H-1B1 visa.
Exactly. And anyone who's below the poverty line is going to be forgotten. And that's the scariest bit. People on food stamps need to know they're fucked.
Yep. All right, guys. It's we went a little bit over, but that's all right. Excellent discussion with Victor, as always, on Thursday night with my co-host, Victor Von Schroom. Make sure you follow Victor. Where can they follow you, Victor, on DLive?
They can check me out on the Victor Show. Let me grab the link real quick. No, crap.
Yeah, we don't have Kitty here tonight.
No, she sadly isn't around, but... let's see, and I'll grab my Twitter link real quick. Pop up profile. There we go.
Oh, thank you, Christy. Again, great discussion again. It's funny how you and I are speaking at the beginning about things. I just find it funny, and then we pull up an article and we don't even have to read it because everything we spoke about previously is in the article.
It's not even what we previously. You can see the writing on the wall. And for those who are worried about their Thanksgiving getting cancelled, check me on Saturday on my show where I'm talking about how the Dutch traditions are being cancelled. And there seems to be quite a bigger agenda behind that as well, canceling people's traditions and whatnot. So you get the corporate holidays like the American Christmas, for instance, which is owned by the Coca-Cola company, the Hallmark holiday of Valentine's Day, and things like that. Because let's be honest, Thanksgiving Day is not a corporate holiday. No. There's no corporation behind it, so we don't need it.
Our Christmas, in my family at least, we don't go into the huge gift buying thing. It's more or less about the families getting together. And that's what they are. It appears to me that they don't want. They want to break that up.
It's not the family gathering they have a problem with. It's the problem that's not marketable. There's no copyright to be stamped on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. That's why Columbus Day is under fire. These things are under fire because you can't copyright it.
What about Christmas then? Because they don't want anybody to gather.
Look Christmas up in America. It's owned by the Coca-Cola. Santa is owned by the Coca-Cola company. Coca-Cola company installed Santas in the 1900s, early 2000s, 20th century. I mean, 1910, 12 or something around that number. Same with Hallmark claiming Valentine's Day during the 70s, 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Those holidays, watch what happens during Christmas. Christmas is going to happen because they didn't stop Black Friday shopping.
Yeah, that's...
Valentine's Day is not going to get stopped because that's a corporate holiday. There's a corporate company behind that.
Even a person I know locally who is a big mask person, pro-shutdown, looked at me and said, knows that my feelings about it, but looked at me and said, I'm starting to see your point, because what's going on Commercial Drive, which I spoke about, with it's jam-packed the day after Thanksgiving. I mean, when we were told not to gather.
And that's the thing. There's going to be a special lift on. You got to understand, New Year's Eve is canceled. Again, not a corporate holiday, but there will be a special. There's going to be a special ordinance where people are allowed to gather on Christmas. They'll throw it under the guise of religion. Valentine's Day, I don't know how they're going to spin it, but they're going to allow that one as well. Again, it's a corporate holiday.
Well, we'll have the vaccine by Valentine's Day.
No,
pretty darn close,
The
right?
vaccine won't come until fall.
Really?
You got to understand that. Yeah. And they're already stating, the vaccine won't be rolled out in large numbers until the start of summer. Expect fall before they even bother. And by that time, the entire American economy is broke. It's kaput.
Listening to their plans, it sounds like if you're white, you're probably not going to get it until the end of next year anyway, because
especially because they're gonna move in the project first.
Yeah, that's what they've said. Yes, it's going to minorities first, and the nursing homes and whatever, frontline workers, and then minorities. And then if you're white, you whatever's left, you're going to get. So.
Yeah, and who are the business owners?
Yep.
Nothing against even Hispanics are currently already being labeled as the new white supremacist group.
Yes, they are.
Hispanics own businesses. They're going to be dead last behind the whites. African Americans who sadly never have been learned ownership matters, and there are a lot of black people who already have said Black Lives Matter is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself a business, own something. The minute you own something, you see value in your life, and that's kind of the problem currently with the African Americans. They used to own their stuff, granted behind Jim Crow laws, but they used to own their own stores and whatnot. After the Jim Crow laws, they lost everything.
That's right.
They got their so-called rights. Well, let's look at their rights. They have the right to use to get drugs and food stamps. That's their rights.
Yep. All right, guys. We're gonna head out of here. Again, we could probably go on until midnight here, Victor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you for coming. We got 22 to go, so I can give away these T-shirts. So share it out. We'll have our Wheel of Death. You can get this J.J. Stoner Midget Wednesday. This is an awesome shirt that Evil Eric designed. Nice shirt. It's a large, child size, and a Winning TV shirt from the Winning TV store on Teespring. So you're going to get two shirts. You're going to get one you can wear and one that you can try to squeeze your wife into or girlfriend. How about that? Can't beat that. We'll have a Wheel of Death and get it over with and give away those shirts.
We're going to get you to 500 before New Year's. We need to get it before 2021.
Well, we might all be on here on New Year's because we won't be able to go anywhere. So there's no money to be made on New Year's.
For everyone.
Yes. There'll be no money to be made on New Year's Eve, so not worth it, right?
Exactly. But thank you for having me on. For those interested, I'll be on during the weekend, 2 p.m. Eastern. And after that, I'll be on Thursdays again with Phil over here.
And this weekend, you're doing the Dutch holidays or traditions that are being canceled, right?
Yeah, the specific Saint Nick, the true, no offense, but the true Christmas holiday of Santa, which is normally within the span of December 5th to December 17th, depending on what region you happen to be. But yeah, they're trying to cancel it through the whole Black Pete thing, which is kind of ironic since the whole Black Pete thing is older than Europe knew there were black people, but fine.
All right, guys, don't forget to catch tomorrow night is Boogie Bumper. Tonight is Thursday, so no Irrational Times. Kitty's not in the chat, so she pops those links in there so that I remember everybody. But Major Tom, I think, is Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Joya Pesci at midnight on Saturday. The Speakeasy and Promises Kept shows, that starts at 8 o'clock on Saturday. With us, Winning TV, and Rusty Iceman 4433 is on Sunday. Victor is at 2 o'clock on Saturday morning, or afternoon, sorry. Who is on Friday night? I don't know, but other than Boogie.
You got Daywave, you got RC, you got Boogie, you got Irrational Times, you got Nightwave. On Sunday, you got JJ Stoner on YouTube. With the Reverend Byrne and the lovely Boston lady, Tree.
Oh, no. I got to check that out.
It's great. It's amazing. Because those shows have been quite wild at times.
Don't forget the Sunday night shit show with Frozen Asian, too.
And I also believe tonight there will be a Joy of Pesci reverse eating stream at midnight Eastern, I believe.
Oh, God. A reverse eating stream. And Irrational Times is on tonight at 9 o'clock. So there you go. There's a lot of entertainment besides Hollywood out there for sure.
He's not on tonight, but he's on tomorrow.
Oh, IT, that's right. He's on. He's not on Thursdays. Yeah. Thursdays is the only night, right? Irrational Times is not.
Yeah, that's because of the Cousin Joe show, and Cousin Joe is a bad friend because he probably didn't show up.
Yeah. If Irrational Times comes on, that means Joe didn't show up.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, guys. Share those links out. We'll get the 22 more and give away these shirts. Thank you for coming. We'll see you on Saturday. Victor and myself will see you on Saturday. Have a good night.
What the hell kind of country is this where I can only hate a man if he's white?
Someone drops in late. Hi, Boogie.
Yeah, thank you, Boogie. Thank you for the diamond, Boogie. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank you for keeping me safe.
Thank you, Boogie.
miss you